Gonna basically give a quick rundown here on what makes a good jig. You know, there's so many jigs out on the market. You know, everybody's claiming that theirs is good, but some factors that you should really look at. You know, one, for example, would be the quality of the head. Did they spend the time making sure they got all the smooth edges sanded down? You know, did they do a good job getting the paint put on? And you know, the skirts, are the skirts real stiff? You know, do they not move, or they just those can be factors that could make or break a jig. You know, looking at this, the T-Dogs Pro Lure jig, which is a jig I've been using for quite some time, you know, they did a real good job making sure that there's really no rough edges on the bottoms of the jigs, or even any, you know, it's smooth. You know, the hooks on the jigs really can make a big difference. You know, this guy uses Gamakatsu hooks, so it's a good hook set. The skirt material is real soft. I'm not 100% sure on the skirt material, but you know, it's real soft, and when it gets in the water, man, it just flares out, and that's so key to a jig, because when it flares out, it makes that bait presentation seem a lot bigger, and that's key when you're throwing a jig. You want that skirt to be able to flare out and really give that bait a real big presentation and make that bass want to come up and smack it. You know, versatile style heads for different conditions are also going to be important when looking at jigs. You know, when you're fishing rocky areas, you know, a regular jig is going to get hung up easy. Henceforth, the football jig here is designed for throwing in rocky areas. You know, its rounded shape makes it hard for it to get snagged up in the crevices. You know, swim jigs are another one that it's good to have, you know, swimming through open cover. There's just a lot of various heads that work well in various different situations. You know, a color selection. You want to be able to have a good color selection, because you want to be able to throw something similar to the natural forage that you're going to be fishing on that lake. You know, that's what's going to make a difference. You want to have colors for different water conditions. You know, when you've got clear water, you're going to want the colors that are going to look more like the crawfish, the shad, you know, the more natural colors. And the darker the water, you know, you're going to want like your black and blues, you know, something flashy, stands out. So, you know, and for these jigs, you know, I have an issue with these jigs and the paint chips on them. And there's not a big variety of head selection. There's only 3 heads. You know, you got your regular jig, but I do like it because it's the stand-up. You know, it makes the crawl look like it's going up in attack position. You got your football jig, and you've got a jig head with eyes, which is kind of like the swim bait jig, but it's not quite straightened out. But you know, I mean, and just because a paint chips on a jig doesn't mean it's a bad jig. A simple fix to that is just taking a permanent marker and coloring it, and there you go, you're good to go. I've actually done it on this jig here in these spots, and you know, you really can't tell that I've had to take a permanent marker to it. So that's just kind of a quick basic deal for me on what makes a good jig. You know, to me, the skirt is one of the most important things that I look at, because if your skirt's real stiff and doesn't move well in the water, to me it's going to defeat the purpose of the jig. You know, if you got that real soft, free-moving skirt, when it gets in the water and it just flares out, that's how you know you got a good jig on your hands. You know, head selection. It's always good to have a big head selection and a big color selection. You know, too many times I've been out on the water with a limited color selection, and you know, it seems like one color that they're biting on is the one color I don't have. So that's what I think makes and breaks a good jig. So I hope you all enjoy, and thanks for watching.